So hello and welcome to episode 2 of our Reviving Manor Racing series. Now if you didn't watch the opening episode, go back and watch that. That'll give you a lot of context and also bring you the first race back as Manor Racing. And to be fair, it wasn't a bad first race back at all. If we go to the standings, we did finish in P12. We were battling it out with a Mercedes, no less, of George Russell towards the end. He was very much out of position after a safety car. Max Verstappen started on this just as he has in real life by winning the Grand Prix. Leclerc and Perez close second and third. Now, just to bring you up to date on a few other things, if we go to our facilities, we have only got the aerodynamics department that is on spec 1. The rest of them, we've got to put some work in to get these developed and get up so we can push the car as far as we possibly can and develop it as much as we can. But that'll all come throughout this save. Also, if we have a look at the R&D, we have had a few upgrades coming in for this race. And if we just pop across now, we are still at second bottom, but we are very close with Williams and Alpha Tauri and Alfa Romeo as well. So there's a cluster of cars there, Haas and Alpine a little bit further in front, that we can battle with coming into this weekend. And this weekend, it is our second race, and it is the Australian Grand Prix. So I'm going to get through qualifying, and I'll see you on the grid for the Australian Grand Prix.
You can hear the Australian fans roaring as they line the track here in Albert Park. Welcome to Melbourne, and the roar from the crowd can only mean one thing. It's race day. We're a stone's throw from the enormous Port Phillip Bay for today's race at the 3.28-mile Albert Park circuit. It's a bumpy racing surface here, and the 14 corners can prove especially difficult in the wet conditions. So watch out for a safety car at some point during this Grand Prix. Let's run you through the driver grid order for today's exciting race. Max Verstappen put in a fantastic lap yesterday, and he'll start from pole position, edging out Sergio Perez, who lines up P2. Moving on to the rest of the grid, we have Leclerc, Russell, Hamilton, Fernando Alonso, Gasly, Lewis, Stroll, Bottas, Norris, Sainz, Ocon, Magnussen, Tsunoda, Joe, Oscar Piastri, Albon, Sargent, Hulkenberg, Ollie Caldwell, and Nick De Vries. With preparations almost complete, let's head down to the track. It's not going to be plain sailing for our drivers today, although with the sky falling as it is, perhaps sailing isn't too far from the truth. And Natalie Pinkham, good to have you with us here today. Your thoughts?
Well, first and foremost, I'm looking forward to staying dry here in the commentary box. Thank goodness. The rain, though, does add an extra level of spice, doesn't it?
Right guys, so we put in an absolutely stonking lap in qualifying on our final run, putting us in P8. I do feel we are out of position, and spoiler alert, I am not the most experienced in the rain despite being a British driver. So let's have a little look at the race strategy. A one stop on wets to wets. It looks like it's going to rain all afternoon. Will we get to intermediates? I'm not too sure. We have put a little bit more wing on the car to allow us to be a little bit more grippier in these conditions, but it's going to be very difficult. P8 we start. Let's get to 5 red lights and see what we can do here in this rainy Albert Park circuit. So here we go then, ladies and gents. Absolutely rain-soaked Australian Grand Prix. Max Verstappen, who will lead us away. He gets a decent start from Sergio Perez, as does Charles Leclerc. We're going to ride on board with us because the rain is pouring down and we just want to take it steady into turn 1. We brake well. We've got Gasly and Russell fighting away between in front of us, and Lance Stroll chucking one up the inside. We are down to P9. We've lost one position off the front, but it's not the end of the world as Max Verstappen is in the lead of this Grand Prix from Charles Leclerc, who's had a decent start. Then comes Sergio Perez, Lewis Hamilton and Fernando Alonso, Russell, Gasly, and then we are now still fighting side by side with Lance Stroll, and we've managed to get P8 back at the start of lap 1, but we are struggling, it must be said, for grip early doors in this Grand Prix. As you can see, running a little bit wide there, and that doesn't help us at all on the exit And Lance Stroll is looking very, very interested in this Manor Racing car in front of him. Lando Norris in P10 all over the back of him, and Lance Stroll is going for the move on us, and Lance Stroll has got it done. There's nothing we could do to fight it, and we are back down to P9. Early doors on this start of this Grand Prix. We are struggling so much on these tyres and trying to get the grip and get the feel for this wet weather racing at this moment in time. Lando Norris is another interested party. Is he going to chuck one up the inside? He thinks about it, doesn't quite do it, and Valtteri Bottas actually overtakes him. He compromises his exit, and Lando Norris is up in drop to P11. Valtteri Bottas in P10. We're in P9, and Lance Stroll we can see in front of us, and we run very, very wide into the penultimate corner, then into the right-hander, onto the start-finish straight, and we are glad just to get that power down at the moment. But on lap 1, it is Max Verstappen from Leclerc, Perez in P3, then comes Hamilton, Alonso, Russell, Gasly, Stroll, us, and then Valtteri Bottas in the top 10. Lap 2, and Yuki Tsunoda is looking like he's got problems. His engine looks like it's gone. We have got yellow flags, and Yuki Tsunoda looks like he's going to be the first man to retire from this Grand Prix as he pulls up on the left-hand side. Yuki Tsunoda is out of the Australian Grand Prix. And as we come on to lap 6, we have been given a drive-through penalty for speeding under the virtual safety car. We had a virtual safety car, whether it was a little bit of a delayed reaction to the Yuki Tsunoda, but we were very, very upset in the way that we got it. It ended very, very quickly, and we got a drive-through penalty. So we are now having to serve this drive-through, and we are going to lose a fair few positions here as we come out of the pit lane. It's not a good situation at all, but we have now got, as we take this drive through, a full course safety car is out. We can see the yellow flags on the right hand side. We're going to rejoin in P12 just in front of Guan Yu Zhou. Guan Yu Zhou's coming down. We're actually P13 we're going to come out, but we can see the safety car has just come out, and this is a perfect opportunity for us to box. I'm not quite sure as to what has brought that out. Nick De Vries is out on the DNF. We'll see if we can get a little replay of that shortly, but we have got a safety car and we will be in this lap. And as we come to the end of lap 7, we are going to be pitting, as is Zhou Guanyu and Kevin Magnussen and Piastri, and we've got a gaggle of cars all coming in. The Williams of Albon stays out, but one unfortunate player in this is Ollie Caldwell. He is very close behind us, and the Manor Racing team, we are going to have to double stack here at Manor Racing. It's unfortunate for him. It's a good job we took the drive-through when we did. We couldn't take the drive-through under safety car, but as you can see there, Ollie Caldwell is waiting behind, and we have got a problem on that front right, which means it's a slow stop as well, which allows Oscar Piastri to jump us. It just compounds the misery for Ollie Caldwell. The front right wouldn't go on. It was a 4.5 second stop for us in the pit box, and on lap 8 we come out back in P16, Ollie Caldwell in 19. Meanwhile at the front, I'm assuming there's been some issues with Charles Leclerc. Verstappen is now leading behind the safety car, and then Sergio Perez, Alonso, Stroll, and Charles Leclerc is down to P5 after his pit stop. Lap 8 will come back when we're back to green flag running. And on lap 9 we are riding on board with Max Verstappen. We've just seen the safety car disappear into the distance. It's going to be Max Verstappen to lead us away on this safety car restart from his teammate Sergio Perez. Then comes Alonso and Stroll, the two Aston Martins, looking very closely at these two Red Bulls out in the lead. When will Max Verstappen decide to go? He decides to go now, and to be fair, he's got a decent gap between himself and Sergio Perez. We're going to flash back to our on board now as we get ready for this safety car restart. We don't get the best exit out of that final corner, but look at the rain coming down. We've just had the radio message saying that it's going to be this weather for the next 20 minutes, so it's going to be wet weather all the way to the very end. We have a little look on the right hand side, don't get the biggest exit, but we've got Esteban Ocon behind us as we have a little back end loss on the exit, and now we have got to chase down and try and make up some points here. Meanwhile, further up the field, it's a four-way battle between Sainz, Sargent and Norris, and also Valtteri Bottas as well, and we're in this pack led by the Ferrari of Carlos Sainz all the way down in P10 at this moment in time. Meanwhile, Sargent in P11 doing very well. Albon in the Williams also running in P9 doing very well at this moment in time. Two Alfa Romeos in this gaggle of cars. Meanwhile, we are looking left and right but really struggling with traction at this moment in time, and we have lost another couple of positions to Esteban Ocon, and Kevin Magnussen is past us as well. We've got a terrible exit there, and Ollie Caldwell decides to have a little look up the inside. We don't let our teammate through, and after that mistake we recover to P18. What a fall from grace this has been on lap 10. And as we come on to lap 11, we are looking at the bike of Kevin Magnussen and seeing if we can get a move done into turn 1. We go round the outside using this cockpit view, and we are rounding. We're trying to dance the car, and we're really struggling with traction, it must be said. And now we can see in front of us we've got Ocon and Piastri. We'll switch to TV view. We go for a lunge down the right hand side. It's a bit too aggressive in all fairness. We don't get any damage, fortunately. We managed to dance it around the outside of Piastri, and now we've got Guan Yu Zhou in P14 to look out for. Again, we managed to get on the power better now. We're getting used to these tyres, but we've got a lot of work to do before we can manage to get this Alfa Romeo, who's looking particularly quick, in this middle sector on lap 11. But we are back up into P15 as we once again lose the back end in this little sector. And a little bit further on lap 11, we're on the back of these Alfa Romeos, and we decide to take a wider line into this corner, and that allows us to get the better exit on Guan Yu Zhou. And now we've just got his teammate Valtteri Bottas in front of us. We switch from the left to the right, trying to make a move, decide to get a tight exit here, and try and get the power down better than Valtteri Bottas. We don't quite manage to do it. He covers us off quite well, but now we've got the better traction on the exit, and it's Manor Racing against Alfa Romeo, and Logan Sargent covers across as well. We're going to be 3 wide by the time we get to turn 1. Who's going to break last? It's going to be us, as we do run a little bit wide on the exit, but we managed to get up into P12, and now it's all about chasing Alexander Albon down as we get to the front of this little pipe. Meanwhile, further up the road, we can see Sainz and Russell battling away, and that is holding up Lando Norris, meaning that this little gap between us and this car and the next train of cars in front is closing. Lap 12, we are up into P12. And on lap 15, we are now on the back of Alexander Albon, just half a second behind, and we get a decent exit out of the final corner. Now we are pushing with VRS here, using all the battery we've got, but we've missed his braking point, and we go wide, and that sends us off circuit. And what that does allow is Valtteri Bottas, as we ride from his onboard, we can see a massive tank slapper from us there, really losing traction, and Valtteri Bottas storms back into P12. We've got a comfortable gap to Zhou Guan Yu in P14, but that little excursion onto the grass has cost us a lot of time there on P16, and it was just simply, we are now so struggling with these tyres. The back tyres are cut, and we are really struggling to keep it on the track more than anything. If you offered us P13 now with no damage, I think I would take it on lap 16. And on lap 18, you join us back. Pierre Gasly running in P6. Carlos Sainz and Russell behind him. It's been a good battle this all afternoon here. And Pierre Gasly is looking pretty solid at the moment for some good points paying positions as he's into this next right-hander. But Carlos Sainz is all over the back of him. He's intimidating him, it could be said. And Pierre Gasly loses the back end. Sainz is stuck. Norris floats around the outside. Sainz is stuck. Russell's stuck. And there we go, Bottas and Albon are in front of us, still battling away, and we are now on board. They get caught up in the crash, and we just float round the outside, and call it opportunist if you will, but we float round that, and now we are up into the points paying positions into P8. Sometimes your luck is just in. P8 with 2 laps to go. Unbelievable things. Pierre Gasly's been disqualified. Max Verstappen still leads from Charles Leclerc, but Charles Leclerc is all over the back of Max Verstappen in these conditions. Perez a little bit further back. The top 3 look set, but Charles Leclerc doing very well at this moment in time. But we are now up into P8 with an 8-second gap to Esteban Ocon. I might go and have a go on the lottery tonight, lap 19. And the final lap of the Grand Prix, we're watching Max Verstappen as he comes round the last few corners. Charles Leclerc has kept him honest all afternoon, But Max Verstappen, just as he does in real life, looks like he's going to make it 2 wins from 2 for Red Bull as he comes round the final corner. Max Verstappen will win the Australian Grand Prix. Charles Leclerc in P2. Sergio Perez a little bit further back in P3. Again, Lewis Hamilton's kept him honest. The Red Bulls are not having it all their own way here. Perez not performing as well as his teammate, as we can see the checkered flag there. Alonso will take home a happy P5. Norris P6, Stroll P7. But the story of the day, and yes, look, be a lady tonight. We are now just coming round the final few corners in Australia, and we are going to score 4 points for Manor Racing in P8. Yes, it was down to luck, but we've managed to keep it on the track in conditions which I'm not the best at, and I'm more than happy with that as we cross the line, and we will take home points for Manor Racing. Let's get to the podium.
And a fantastic victory here at Albert Park. Natalie Pinkham, how do you think they were able to set themselves apart today?
Well, confidence breeds confidence. Success breeds success. They are very much enjoying a purple patch right now.
Red Bull put up an outstanding fight for the front position today, and it's great to see it paid off for them. They do so much for the sports that you can't help but be delighted by today's race win.
And there we have it again then, Max Verstappen taking his 2nd win from 2 races. He's very much mirroring real life at the moment. Red Bull looking particularly dominant at the moment in this Myteam career mode. But we got a point, a championship point. In fact, we got 2 points for Manor Racing. Now let's have a look at the final classified results. And so there we have it then, Max Verstappen wins from Charles Leclerc. Sergio Perez in P3 takes the final podium spot. Hamilton in P4 did very well in the wet as well. Fernando in P5, Norris P6, Stroll P7. We finished P8, Ocon P9 and Carlos Sainz in P10. Further back, Ollie Caldwell picking up P15 there after an incident-packed Australian Grand Prix. Tsunoda DNF, as was Nick De Vries. Both Alpha Tauri's out and Pierre Gasly was disqualified. Disqualified. Standings. If we have a look, driver standings, Max Verstappen is still leading the driver standings. Charles Leclerc in P2, Perez in P3. Hamilton is the leading Mercedes at the moment in P4. If we have a look constructors-wise, it is Red Bull from Ferrari. Aston Martin are a point in front of Mercedes, but look at that. Manor Racing score 4 points. What a weekend it's been. I hope you've enjoyed that one. Incident packed, I know. But please like and subscribe, and we'll see you on the next one. Ta-ra!